And actually, we in the manager's meeting, Sean and I had a sales presentation, and what we did was, with all the sales training that we'd done from Mark Hunter, he went over different sessions. He went he gave his teachings, his trainings, right?
Yep.
We actually had tools that Sean and I have developed over the years to implement or to utilize to help you do some of those trainings. So we kind of just, in each session, we went over and we gave the tools that we had. And some we didn't really have tools, but we had stories.
Okay.
And we used you in one of them.
Oh, wow. I'm honored.
What
did you, can I ask?
It was on overcoming objections.
Okay.
That was one of the trainings. And, don't just take no for an answer.
Okay.
And I said one of the best examples I have is Matt from Penske. And they're like, because Matt from Penske. I'm like, this guy called on us for almost 2 years. When Adam's office was up here and Sean chimed in, he goes, yeah, I remember Matt. He'd come in almost every week. Can I talk to Adam? He'd call up to Adam. Adam would say, no, I don't have any time. And Matt would say, okay, see you next time. And you just kept coming in. And then we had there was an opportunity or something that Adam needed, and you were the first person he thought of. Right?
Yeah.
2 years. And we have people that salesmen here know one time, and they're, and I don't want to say our people,
no,
anyone in sales.
I mean, it's,
you hear no, you're just kind of defeated, and you're just like, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for telling me no, buddy.
It's a mental game, really.
Yeah.
You got to play almost games with yourself to stay motivated and positive, and you can't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. And I don't know. I just always liked it. I always saw it as a challenge. I never saw it and Adam and everybody here has always been so respectful about it. It wasn't it was uncomfortable for me to come back, because they were always so nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just said, not right now, I don't have time, or maybe an opportunity in the future. And I'm like, yeah, that's understandable. So that's when, you just build those, whatever, you do things to get to know people in different ways, and you keep coming back. I don't want to be the guy, I'm sure you guys don't want your people just being the guy that brings no value, just shows up, knocks on the door, walks away, and it's just that's that. Every time they see somebody walking, they're like, oh God, here comes the Penske guy, or here comes the whatever. It's I don't want to be that guy either.
Yeah.
So you got to have there's a fine line, of where you draw that line, and there is some nuance to it. You have to kind of use common sense and use your intuition, I guess, if you will, to be understanding of how you can kind of read people. Are they getting annoyed at you?
People skills,
mm-hmm. Right? And some of that's just hard to teach, realistically.
Yeah, it's almost some people have it and some people don't.
You can probably teach some stuff,
right?
But if you have it naturally, it's obviously like anything. If you're a natural basketball player, you can practice all day. If you're not, and you can probably end up being okay, but you're never going to be as good as the guys that are making college teams and varsity, and
right.
It's just, that's the difference.
But there are some of those outliers where they tried.
Yeah.
They tried. Okay, I know I'm not good at this, so what can I do about it?
For sure.
If I'm not good at talking in front of people, maybe there's a speech class that I can take. Something like that, to keep going for it. Welcome to episode 8 of In Our Wheelhouse podcast. We have with us today Matt Mrotek from Penske. I got it.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Allison.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So going back to what we were just talking about, the story you have with your dad.
Yep. So I think we were kind of talking about it before, but my dad ended up being a very successful salesperson, managed salespeople, started his own small business. Nothing crazy, but back in Wisconsin, and he always told me he I think maybe are you guys familiar with the Dale Carnegie course?
Yes.
I don't know if any of you guys have taken it or not, but I haven't. But we do internal trainings as well, so I think as you guys probably do, have pretty good people you bring in and trainer in programs internally. But he's always encouraging me to go to the Dale Carnegie program, because my dad apparently, which is really hard to believe knowing my dad, was very shy growing up too. And he said he got extremely nervous in cold calling situations, or definitely public speaking. And he said taking that course changed his life. just because of how they taught him. They force you to do things you're uncomfortable with. And I don't know all the ins and outs of exactly what he learned there, but he just said he ended up, changing his life. He's way more outgoing, way more comfortable. I think they make you frame it in your mind in a way that's just, people put it on such a high pedestal, they might get nervous or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just not, I'm not saying it's not important and it's not that big of a deal, but I think sometimes we think about things, we make them bigger than they are. And you just got to like relax and just realize, hey, if I make a mistake, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
This isn't life or death. This is like, if I go into some place and they don't like what I have to say, or I say something wrong, just try to be genuine about it. But my dad, I guess, to wrap up that story, he always told me that he's like encouraging me, like, I'd even pay for it. You should go. And I told him I will someday, Dad. I'm just really busy. But it just goes to show, I guess, to your point earlier, that maybe you don't have the natural inclination. Maybe you did deep down all along. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there are things you can do to like hone your skills and sharpen it regardless of what you're naturally born with, if that makes sense. So that's why I thought it was a relevant story to what you kind of said from your training.
Absolutely. Any kinds of those trainings, whether it's Dale Carnegie or any other one, I've taken a handful of them and I love them every time because they kind of have the same base. But with learning, with anything, you usually take something different every time, or like another aspect of it, even though you've heard it 1,000 times. I will give a quick plug. One of the best ones I have ever been through was last year. It was the program is called Leadership ND through the University of Mary.
Okay.
I think you would love it.
Okay.
So it's University of Mary is based out of Bismarck.
Yep.
What we did, it was a 9 or 10 month long program. Every month we went to a different town within North Dakota.
Okay.
Throughout the whole process, we're following a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I've read it. Stephen Covey?
Yeah.
Yep.
Love that book. Taught by two people that are in the program, Evan and Janya Anderson. They were phenomenal. I love those two. But every month we go to a different town. So we went to Williston, and then you get to tour and visit different facilities within each town. So like we went to Carrington and we went to the creamery out there.
Okay.
We went to Williston and we went to an NDSCS facility and we got to go on an oil rig.
Nice.
That was pretty cool.
I've never been. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We toured Microsoft here in Fargo. We just every month you go to a different town learning about North Dakota, right? Because one of the points is to show people what North Dakota is, what we can do. But just, you get to network from people all over the state in different industries. You're following that book and the teachings with that one was life-changing for me. Absolutely.
So it's been my freshman year of college, I think, is when I read it. So it's been, I don't know, how many years has that been? I guess 10 years. Yeah. Which is insane to think. But I would say at that point in time, I wasn't in the mental space, to like absorb that information and apply it.
Yeah.
I was kind of just, what was I at 18 years old, kind of like just getting to college, not, I didn't take life super seriously at that point, not like, professionally at least. And, but I think to your point, like the networking and just, it's such a big part of not just sales, but like, it doesn't even matter if you're in operations or finance or whatever. It's like having a network of people that you can rely on outside of like even internally and externally to like help with situations or just in life. It's like, to me, that's what life's kind of about, is like building a network of people, like friends and family. And I'm not saying necessarily all your customers are your friends or anything like that, but having some sort of relationship, because as you know, especially in a state like North Dakota, and I'm from Wisconsin, I would say it's very similar, at least from the part I was in central northern Wisconsin, I guess, is Green Bay. But people want to do business with people they know, they trust is the big thing. And I think a lot of people out here and back home are very loyal, and that's not a bad thing. Yep. And they're just very used to having their, I've done business with so-and-so, or my family's always done business with so-and-so. And it's almost like they're not saying I do business with Penske, or I do business with OK Tire, I do business with Matt, or I do business with Allison. Like, people do business with people. And I think once like that clicks in your head, at least for me, it's like, well, I think I never met Roger Penske, but one of the things a counterpart of mine did when he met Roger was like, what's one piece of advice you'd give me from a sales standpoint? And he said, sell yourself first, and then worry about whatever product or feature you're selling or service you're selling. And I think just be a genuine person. And I don't think there's any secret to my success. Like, I don't have a fancy sales pitch. I don't have a fancy anything really. Like, I'm not bringing out these really complicated things to wow people. I think it's just a matter of getting to know people, being a genuine person, understanding them, actually caring. Like, a lot of those things that you can almost just feel, you can't always tell, but you can feel those things. Like the soft skills, I guess, like we talked about. I don't know. That's, I guess, what's helped me a lot. And that just seems natural to me. So that's kind of been where I gravitated towards when I got here. People
remember how you made them feel.
Right.
And that was with the Mark Hunter training. There's a lot of things that I've gathered from that, but that one is one that I find I've been repeating the last few days quite a bit to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they remember how you make them feel, whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership, whether you're just trying to make a new friend.
Right.
And if you can make them feel good right off the bat with polished soft skills and being genuine, which is what the community throughout the Midwest gravitates towards.
For sure.
If you can do that,
you're
solid.
I would say more than half the battle. And it doesn't mean you're going to get a deal right away.
Right.
Or make a sale right away.
Sometimes it takes 2 years.
I mean, sometimes it takes 2 years, literally, in this example. But and sometimes it takes more. There's examples of, I'm sure you guys have salespeople that could say the same. You call on the same people for 5 plus 10, even some cases, years, and maybe it just takes, something to change in their lives or their businesses or something that you really can't control.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the top card, so to speak, or whatever, they always think about you. It's relevant and it's in a positive way, because they're like, that Allison, she always stops by. I really enjoy talking with her. Like, I could see us doing business, but right now for XYZ reason, I just can't, or it doesn't make sense. But if something ever changes, who do you think they're calling?
Right.
It's
the one that they remember.
Exactly. And sometimes, there's something to be said for being, you don't want to be pushy, but you got to be persistent, too, which is the hard part, especially when you keep, like you said earlier, you keep getting those no's. If you're not, like, self-motivated enough, or you're not, you kind of just brush it off, whatever. Don't take it personally, I guess. That's probably the hardest part, but keep showing up and keep thinking of different creative ways to stay relevant. That's the hard part, though.
Right.
The fun part is getting out there and talking to people. The hard part is having a good reason to talk to them.
Right. Yep. You got to pick up on those fine details.
Exactly.
So tell me what you do.
Sure.
Like, what your title is at Penske, what it is that you're doing. And then I want to start with the story from you leaving Wisconsin and then coming here, and what you did to be as successful as you are.
I'll try to remember it like I said at the restaurant.
Don't even need to remember it. Just tell me.
I'll do my best. So I'm obviously Matt Mrotek. I'm the branch manager here with Penske in Fargo. Mainly I focus on sales, but I do have some managerial responsibilities. The title's a little deceiving, but sales is my main focus. So that's account management. We have about, I would say, 80-ish or 80 to 85 different customers here in the state of North Dakota and the western half of Minnesota from Alexandria over that I help manage. And then I'm responsible for signing new business, obviously, as well, and growing our current customer base. So
for those that are listening that may not know what Penske is, they might have heard the name, but what is Penske?
Sure, that's probably a good place to start. So we're a truck rental, leasing, and logistics company. The division that I work for is the rental and leasing. So we don't do anything specifically here locally. We can pass information along and communicate, but so basically, obviously, if you guys need a truck or a trailer, or anywhere from a small box truck to a larger semi, because maybe there's a farmer that has a harvest season or a co-op or something, or they have trucks go down and break down and they needed something for just a day or two, whatever. That's where the rental piece fills in. And then what I do is more the long-term leasing is our main product line, I would say. So that's where a customer would come to us or me, or I'd go to them, I guess, too, and we get them to basically full service leases. So we take care of all the maintenance and all the stuff throughout the life of the lease. If it's anywhere from, probably generally speaking, 4 to 7 years is a good ballpark of the time range, depending on some factors with mileage and things. But we have a network of locations in the state and also throughout the country and Canada and Mexico as well. So depending on where you travel, if you don't go that far, outside of the local area, then, we have ones in Fargo and Bismarck and Minot here. But we have almost 800 locations nationwide. So it's a pretty solid service network. And our kind of unique thing is we're just dedicated to our specific customers. So we don't service anybody that's not on some sort of like Penske program. So that's, I guess, kind of it in a high level nutshell. But,
Okay.
yeah.
So I want to know how you got here to where you are
Sure.
within your position, and start with the move and what you had to do. What was your
Okay.
mindset?
Yeah, it was almost, I think, 8 years ago. I was 24 years old. I think it was actually January of 2018 that I moved here. So it was pretty much maybe the second week of the year.
What a fantastic time to move.
I know. Well, it was perfect because I got to basically kind of end my tenure in Green Bay because I started with Penske in Green Bay right out of college. And it was a good, perfect transition to like new year, new me, whatever you want to say.
How basic.
Basic, yeah. New year, new me. Same company, different job, basically. But it was a good opportunity to start over, basically. But so I guess I started with Penske right out of college in Green Bay. Kind of worked my way up, got into like our lower level sales position, which we call rental sales, where you go and get companies to rent your vehicles and trailers and things like that. And then they offered me a promotion to come to Fargo, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I only knew one person, I think at that time, that ever moved to Fargo, and it was my, I wouldn't say next door neighbor, but a guy who grew up down the street, played football at NDSU, my same grade, and we kind of grew up together a little bit. But he was the only person I ever knew anything about North Dakota, anything, period. So I'll be honest, I was a little nervous and scared because it's, good distance from home. I didn't really know anybody.
As anybody would be.
Yeah.
As anybody would
24, be. I was like, well, I'm young and I feel like I can make it work and give it a shot. I said, now's the time. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really have anything holding me back. So fast forward, moved here January 2018. I would say a lot of the success that I felt I had in Wisconsin was attributed to building those relationships, having those contacts and relationships with folks back there that helped me be successful in the other roles. So I just kind of figured, well, I'm going to do what's worked. I did learn along the way, it's not completely apples to apples, the position, but the basic concepts apply just from interpersonal relations, like a lot of that stuff carries over. But, I made some mistakes and, probably traveled maybe more than I should in some instances, but I also wanted to get a lay of the land. North Dakota is a big state, and there's not a lot of people in between once you get between the areas. So I learned time management is very important. But so basically once I got here, started hitting the ground running, like make a lot of phone calls, trying to set as many meetings as possible, and just building those kind of relationships and connections just so, number one, we could get the Penske name out there, but number two, I could also understand the customer base, the feel of the people out here, the geography, get a lay of the land of everything. And it takes a while. You can't, to do that organically and be in one person, it takes time. So you got to be patient too. But so eventually, started getting some traction, met guys like Adam, and it did take time to build up those relationships, but I realized that, getting involved in the community too is going to be a huge part of that. And I would say more so the community I'm majorly involved in is the trucking community. Getting involved in the North Dakota Motor Carriers was a big thing. And then we also had, it just kind of recently dissolved, unfortunately, but it was called the Fargo Moorhead Transportation Club. So basically it was just companies from Fargo Moorhead in the transportation space. We get to lunch together for lunch at Speedway off of, what would that be? Was that be Maine, I guess, on the other side of Maine in West Fargo?
Yes. Yep.
Obviously it's physically there, but it's closed.
Yeah.
But we would meet there once a month, and it would be just having lunch and talking about different safety topics and things and a lot of stuff was like ELD related and just different common problems that if you're having them, the chances of the next, either it's not always like trucking fleet. It could be, a trucking company, and then there's a company that just has trucks for their company, but they have similar problems because they're dealing with whatever. So just a lot of collaboration. So getting involved in that stuff, getting your name and face out there, actually showing you care, and if you have things that you can do to help, build some good credibility that way. So I would say I try to get involved in those things once I realized what they were and what their options were available. So maybe a year or two into me being in North Dakota, I got more involved in those, and then just kind of carried from there. Got to be involved in a lot of the activities, got to do a lot of the different like events. Like we have golf outing for the North Dakota Motor Carriers, different like we do lunches at the scale for Driver Appreciation Week, just things throughout the year. They have different safe, like Touch a Truck is a big thing, the truck driving championships, all these things that just are good to support the industry and get involved. That was kind of, you know, what I thought of as being just a good way to get to know people, not knowing anybody. And it's also relevant to my profession and industry. So it seemed to make a lot of sense to me. And that's, I would say it helped a lot. And then in addition, doing the same stuff like I was doing, like you guys, I'm sure do, is like making cold calls, setting meetings, going to talk to people, stuff like that. Like doing those things together, I think in unison was like a pretty big catalyst to being successful.
Yeah. You mentioned the two clubs, the Transportation Club and then the North Dakota Motor Carriers Association.
Yep.
So my question is how, you know, when you moved here, you did those things, but how did you find out about those things?
It's a good question. I'm a little competitive. So I'll be honest, I noticed that there were some of our competitors in these committees and things. And I was like, well, I may be 24, 25 years old, but if they can do it, so can I.
Because, yeah.
And I was just like, so I just kept reaching out. One of our customers at the time, he was the president of the North Dakota Motor Carriers. So I kept reaching out to him, just saying, you know, how do I get on it? What do I have to do? How does this work? And eventually he got me hooked up and we got, you know, I got in there, but it was just a matter of, like, I guess networking through that and trying that. And I just kind of had the mentality of, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Is that the guy that lives in Dickinson
Yep.
that you were telling me about?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So he's still involved, but they have 2-year terms as like presidents. So every 2 years is a new president. I think he actually, because of the COVID, I think he was kind of during COVID times. So he actually had the longest term, I believe, of any current or past president. So he likes to remind me of that. But no, he does a great job, and I would say we're friends outside of that too. But that's basically how I got in, just kind of being persistent, asking like, how do I didn't know. So I was like, how do I get involved? Who do I contact? What do I do?
Yeah.
And I think they were also maybe looking, as I'm sure many places are, to get young blood in there.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think they were pretty receptive to getting somebody that was like up and coming in the industry, so to speak, or just a younger, I guess, voice to be a part of the organization. So
would you say when you got here that most of the people that you had to reach out to try to find things were from work then, or did you organically on your own try to reach out to people throughout North Dakota? Right? Because
Sure.
it wasn't just the communities. You've been,
yeah,
you're in the state.
that's a fair question. I would say, are you talking about from like a work perspective, like how to, like who I was getting in contact with and stuff, or just in general?
Just in general, either
Okay.
way.
Yeah, a lot of it stemmed from kind of the work side. I think started because then I had an idea of, like, I didn't know any companies here. I mean, really. I mean, there's some big national companies that are kind of not everywhere, but a lot of places which I recognize. But like, I never heard of OK Tire before. I've never heard of, you know, a lot of companies. So I had to figure out, first of all, who they were, what they did, how big are they, what's their scope. I didn't know anything, you know, and that just takes time too to understand, because it's really hard to, you know, I don't want to say sell somebody something, but offer them something or whatever if you don't understand anything about them. So a lot of that's just, you know, we have an internal like sales force, we call it, you know, that we have customers and prospects in that you can kind of get some information from, but then it's just basically going out there. A lot of it was just setting meetings and just, you know, coming in, trying to do the best research you can through websites and, you know, whatever notes were in the system from before. But honestly, there wasn't a lot for me to go off of. So I would just kind of research on the website and then go to meet them and just be honest, like, here's what I do know about you guys. I probably don't know very much, and I certainly don't know as much as you do about yourself or about your company. So, you know, what can you tell me? Like, what are we here for? Is there, you know, an opportunity for us to help, or what situations are maybe you having trouble with that maybe I could offer a solution to? And just keeping it, I try to keep it open-ended and not just to understand, basically, because if you can understand somebody's situation and get them to let their guard down a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier to just communicate, and I'll be honest, if there's something like we're just not a good fit or we can't help you, things like that, I'll be honest about it. I don't try to waste people's time in that way. But I guess to answer your question and not skip around it, I think it was just a lot of that going through the Salesforce database, making phone calls, setting up meetings. If I was going to Bismarck, I'd try to set up as many meetings as I could. Then I would just stop at every place I possibly could in Bismarck until 5 o'clock, until they close their doors, and then I go home. And I do that every small pocket of towns and cities that I went because I wanted to maximize
Your time.
the time, as much as I possibly could. I saw it as like a challenge. I loved it, and I still do. Now I know a lot more people, so it's like it's a little different. But when you don't know anything, you can go anywhere, talk to anybody, and it's just all new to you. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, what I did. Just literally physically phone calls, and then physically just getting out there and stopping by as many people as I possibly could.
Would you say that personally, when you're not at work anymore, how have you been able to build that? Did you use a lot of work?
Just like outside relationships? Yeah. I would say the majority of my friend group stemmed from work people. Yeah, because when I first got here, I was younger. There was so we have like some entry-level people that are constantly, different. They're about the same age, but they're, they get promoted and maybe even move to a different Penske location. So there's kind of a good influx of younger people. So I met a lot of them when I first moved to Fargo, and we would hang out because we obviously were, roughly the same age and stuff, and then got to know friends through them. And then it's a good thing. A lot of them have moved and gone to different locations for promotions, which is awesome. It makes it a little hard for me because, I
miss you, buddy.
Right. It's like I don't have any family here. I do have friends here, but I would say a lot of it came from work. And I look at it as a good thing though, because it allows me to, I came here for a reason. I set goals for myself. I wanted to build up the market from, I'm not going to say it was nothing, but it was very small for Penske at least, growing up to what we have it at now. I thought that was a great challenge. And then it allows me, because I didn't have maybe a ton of friends right away or family, not that that's a bad thing by any means, to have friends and family, that's amazing. But I just didn't have it, so I focused a lot on work and doing a lot of those things and building relationships kind of work-related, which I think benefited me too because I was able to focus a lot of my time and energy on that.
Right.
So
interesting that you bring that up because there has been for a while now a big conversation about work-life balance, right? Where there are some people out there, and it's not a bad thing. There are some people that want to go to work and they want to leave work at work and then have their separate life outside.
Right.
And I empathize with those people and I understand where they're coming from. But me personally, I'm kind of like, if things aren't going good at work, they're probably not going to go good at home.
Right.
Right. So there's a balance, but it's just so ingrained in my life, which it is for you too.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to say that work is your life. It's not that it's your life. It's that you value what it has done to support your overall life happiness.
For sure.
And I kind of wish that part of the conversation happened more instead of just
focusing on the negative of I think if you do anything and you really commit yourself to it, that's typically who are the most successful. I'm not saying you can't be successful and have good balance. That's not the case either.
Nope.
But I think it's important to if you identify you work for a good company, there's opportunities there, and if you're willing to put in the work that you will see the rewards type of thing. I think that's, I don't want to say it's a lost art, but maybe somewhat to an extent, or people focus, like you said, on the negative aspects of that and not what it really takes to be successful in kind of anything really.
Right.
So I agree with that a lot.
There's going to be sacrifices that you have to make. Yes. Do I have as much time? Do you have as much time to do quote unquote fun things at home? No, we were just talking about this earlier. The summer's flown by. We haven't been on the water as much as we want to, but work pays my bills, funds my life. It's where I've made a lot of really good relationships and friends with, professionally and personally. And it's not that much of a sacrifice to me. But you hit the nail on the head with the work that you have to put in in order to get to a position like this. And I don't want to say that people are lazy. It's not what I'm saying at all.
Sure.
But their values, their motivators are just a little bit different than yours and I.
Yeah. That's 100%, I think, the truth. And that's why I've come to understand that sometimes I get, like I said, I'm a competitive person, so I get frustrated sometimes. Like, well, I care so much, or like, why don't you care as much as I care? Or like, I'm trying to go above and beyond to get certain things done. And it's like, you may have a hard time just like me if it's like, well, to me, that's just common sense, or that's just what the right thing to do is. So I do that. And I'm not saying people are doing the wrong things or like maliciously or anything like that, but it's just like they don't see it the same way, like you said, as maybe we do in some cases. And that gets hard, especially when you're constantly pushing to be better yourself, to do better, and you realize like, you sacrifice now for the long term, whatever, and you realize, but that's kind of the journey is the destination. I mean, that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's like you're trying to get this goal, and it's like, well, you meet all the people along the way, all the relationships you make, if it's in work or sale or whatever, like that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Like once you get to the goal, you're like, oh, well, that's cool, I guess, but now what? But it's like you didn't realize you were doing it the whole time. Is like, that's to me at least, and maybe to you, like that's the building those relationships, making really good friendships internally with your company, with your customers. Like that's fulfilling to me. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you feel the same way.
You're expanding your network, you're expanding your resources, which if you don't have resources, I don't know how anybody's going to get ahead.
Right.
And just creating a positive impact on people from all over. Yeah, I love it. That fills my cup.
Well, I think they say like and maybe they said this in the training recently for you guys, but if you have the mentality of you go out there and you try to provide the most value or help others the best way possible, that's gonna come back in dividends to you eventually.
Man, did you write the book? Did you write?
I've never written a book, but I mean, and it's been a while since I read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But I mean, it just, to me, a lot of this, I guess, to my benefit, clicked with me early on in my life, I guess. So I've always been a people person though, so it's just been easy. So I have an advantage, I think, that way, because others maybe it's not as natural. But like if you get out of that short-term mentality of trying to make a sale or trying to do something just for today, and realize that, maybe I take a little bit of a sacrifice today, or I put a little bit more work in here, and I know it's not going to pay off for me today, but I know down the road, I'm just building trust, I'm building relationships, I'm building credibility. And when something does happen and I'm doing the right things and they can see that, they're going to be like, okay, I know this guy, like this is the guy I want to do business with.
Right.
So
that long-term gain, which for anybody listening, for anybody that watches these clips, nothing that we have said today is to put anyone down.
No, at all.
Like ever. It's just what our perspective, what our mindset is. There's so much, like, something good happens after long-term pursuit, right?
Yeah.
But so many people will say, well, it must be nice. Well, were you with me a year ago when I was down in the trenches? Like, yeah, this is really nice because I worked super hard for this.
Right.
Like, let me enjoy it.
They don't see the work that you put in. They don't see you here when nobody else is around. They don't see you doing those things that I think people just maybe get. Again, this isn't the negative. It's just it is what it is. Maybe stuck in their own little bubble or whatever, and they just see it what they want to see, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with different people make the world go around. There's nothing wrong with anything like that. I just this is just my experience, and maybe yours too. But it's like they don't see some of the stuff you put in, all the work you're doing, on the weekends, or maybe when you're not technically clocked in and stuff like that. But those are the things that tend to move the needle. And I'm not saying it's 100% required everywhere because I don't know everywhere, but like I can say for my specific scenario that if I didn't do a lot of those things, I wouldn't be as successful as I was. But I think that can be said for anybody and anything. It's like the work you put in, you put more work in, you're going to get more out of it. That's just kind of a general common sense.
Right.
Knowledge, just general knowledge.
Equation
basically.
that doesn't really fail.
Right.
It's always there.
And nowadays, I think people maybe get sucked into some of the quick, not schemes, but maybe more of the, I don't know if it's social media related or stuff. It's easier to be like instantly gratified.
Well, that's just everything.
Right. So everything's quick and easy now. So I think or can be. So not that if you can find a way to do whatever you want to do quick and easy, of course do that.
Right.
I mean,
That would be the smarter
that
way.
would be the smartest way to do. But I think when you realize like a lot of these things, at least when it comes to human beings and interpersonal relationships and things, you're not just going to meet somebody for the first time and be their best friend, that they're going to trust you with everything and walk out of there, and make a sale or whatever, or just, make a lifelong friend. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. It can, but like you repeatedly doing the right things, coming back again and again, like you said, just being persistent, things like that. Not, I wouldn't say not taking no for an answer, but taking it in context and saying, okay, it's a no for now, or it's a no because of this reason. What other ways can I look at this to maybe make it make sense for them? Or maybe it's a timing thing, things like that. That all plays a part of it, but that just takes time.
Right.
It just does.
So you've been at the game here in Fargo for 8 years.
Yep.
Do you currently have moments, maybe you had an interaction with a customer, or you just closed a big deal, or maybe you went to a friend's house on a lake that you didn't know even 5 years ago and just kind of think to yourself, God, I can't believe how far I've made it?
That's a really good question. I think I have a bad habit of always wanting the next thing, and not in a bad way, but I'm always just kind of looking ahead of like, that's done now. Now I have this X to do.
Yeah.
And maybe in some ways it's a good thing from like a work ethic standpoint and stuff. But like I said, the journey is the destination. I know that sounds so cliche, but like the most fun to me and the most fulfilling stuff is like helping somebody, building these relationships, doing that work that like builds up to the moments when you actually are like, wow, I was able to make that big deal happen, or I can't believe like how far we've grown the company just in North Dakota as a group. I don't take a lot of time to sit back and reflect. I probably should more, just being totally honest with you. But now that you asked that question, I'm thinking about it. I mean, it is pretty incredible. And it's not, I don't want to say it's just me. It's certainly not. There's so many people that do so many things that, like I'm sure here, you can't do it alone. That it's not possible. No. You need a support network. Like we kind of come in full circle. You need a network internally, externally. It just takes a lot of people to make things happen.
They say it takes a village to raise a kid, but it takes a village to do anything successfully.
For sure. You can't do it alone. No. I don't know. Maybe there's some things I can't think of off the top of my head that you could.
Well, you and I need people that are better at math.
That's 100% a fact. Yes. That's 100% true. Exactly.
Right? You need other other talents.
You can't be the expert in everything.
No.
I mean, but I think it's okay to say that. I think it's okay to be real with yourself. I think that's also important, to be real with yourself and know your limitations, but know your strengths, and help bring in people or fill in those gaps, so to speak, where like maybe you aren't as strong, but you know somebody that is really good in that. Bring them in with you. Utilize the resources available to you. I mean, I think, again, just kind of tying it all together, building that network, building that circle, I think is crucial. I mean, you can try to do it alone, and I did for a little bit. It didn't work very well.
No.
I was working really hard, but not having those resources right away was definitely, in hindsight now, it's like, man, if I would have had this back then or thought about this, how much further along would I have been? It's like, but that's just part of like the process. You got to go through it and learn and kind of make some bumps and grow from it.
I absolutely challenge you to do that. And when I say kind of reflect and look back, it's not like it's got to be a 20-minute meditation exercise. This happened to me the other day. I was texting somebody from Williston, I think, and the conversation was professional, and then it turned into more of like a friendship type conversation. And just after I was done talking to them, I thought, man, 6 years ago I didn't know you, and that's so cool that it's just
the relationship is where it is now.
Yep. Or I needed out in Bismarck, I had a question for somebody. Like I needed that resource, and I got off the phone with them, and I'm just like, God, I didn't have this.
Right.
Like I didn't have this 7 years ago. I had never really been I'd never been in this state 5 years ago.
Okay.
I was always just kind of Fargo. I had never been to Williston. I'd never been to Dickinson.
Really?
I'd never been to Carrington. Yeah.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
stayed on the eastern side of the
I
state.
feel like an adventurer now. That you
Right?
said-
I mean, now I have, but just sometimes I'll be driving in the car on my way out to one of our locations. You just think, yeah, this is cool. You're right. The journey is the destination. It's
Well, sometimes it is uncomfortable getting out of your comfort zone, especially just not knowing the place, not knowing the people, not knowing, just the unknown in general, I guess, is intimidating a lot of times. But I think once you can get over that, or at least just put yourself in some of those situations to just grow and whatever, or if you have the opportunities to, if it's a work thing or just personal vacation or whatever, I got to take my own advice and a lot of that in my personal life, probably more so. But like, I think that's just how you grow and how you like gain different perspectives and see things from different sides that maybe you weren't used to, because people are different even within the state. Fargo's different than Bismarck. Bismarck's different than Williston.
Yep.
Minot's different than Grand Forks.
they all have their own personality.
Right. And people do business maybe differently or just live differently in different ways. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities. But even within a state like North Dakota, there's a lot of differences too. And I think without getting yourself some exposure to like what those are, it's kind of hard to relate those things or build those relationships. But I will take your advice, though. I think I got to do a better job at that. So I appreciate you saying that, because I mean, I think about just our relationship and like how I started with OK Tire, but then got to meet you and through Adam and things like that. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, that was, I don't know if it was 8 full years ago, but it was between 6 and 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez, where's the time going? That was 6 or 7 years ago.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
See? You take 10 seconds and just, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then it is healthy to have that competitive drive of like, I can always do better, right? You had said, all right, I got this done. What's the next thing? That's what successful people do. In whatever way success is defined for you.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there so we don't upset
It's a fair
anybody,
preface.
right?
Yeah.
But just, God, no, I lost my train of thought again. I do this all the time.
It's all good. I do it all the time too. I'm just glad I'm not in your shoes. You got the pressure on you.
Like-
I'm just talking. So
The first one, man, it was a bad deal. I forgot where the heck I was going with that. Whatever. If you're comfortable, you said a story about when we were at lunch, a guy that had said some negative things about you coming here. And then because you had just mentioned a little bit ago that, maybe the size of your branch wasn't that big and now it is. And he kind of said like,
sure.
why are you doing things this way? It's not going to work.
Sure.
Are you comfortable telling that story? Because
Yeah,
that was one of my favorites.
I'm gonna leave names and specifics out.
Perfect.
But yeah, there was a lot of I mean, this sounds haters, like not haters, but maybe like the way I saw things wasn't the way they saw things. And I'm not saying they're necessarily wrong, but we just kind of had different philosophies on how to do it. And I'm a little stubborn too. I'll admit that, but I'd like to think at this point I've proven my point right. So I feel a little bit.
That's why I want you to tell the story.
So yeah, I mean, coming out here, there was just some things that I got a lot of advice and different things to do that didn't feel comfortable to me. Didn't feel like was maybe the right thing to do. Not that it was necessarily outright negative, but it was just, it didn't make sense to me, I guess. And just saying certain things and being a certain way that I wasn't. I think, at least to me, it's important to like be yourself and be, I'm not going to be you. You're not going to be me. I'm not going to be the next guy that maybe is very successful at that method. But I think that's where like I kind of stuck to what I knew and I had success in Wisconsin with. And I think I knew, I don't know how I guess I just had this intuition that I knew that if I laid the groundwork here and did the things like I did, like we talked about earlier with like getting out in the communities, getting involved in these groups or committees, getting in front of as many people as I possibly can, building those relationships was going to pay dividends. It just wasn't going to be right away. And I just kind of knew that was going to be the case, and I knew it was going to take time, and I just kept saying, just give me time. Just give me time. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And yeah, I guess it was hard because you heard a lot of these noises from the outside telling you, because I didn't have the immediate success, well, you got to try it this way. You got to do it this way. you're not doing it right, this and that. And I mean, that was very hard mentally, obviously, because you're like, well, then you kind of start to doubt yourself and you're like, well, maybe I am not doing it the right way. Or maybe they're, you know, I, in all fairness, did try a lot of other things that I was, you know, had advice to do. And it still wasn't really working. So I was kind of like, well, now what do I, you know, I was a little bit confused. So I kind of went back to what I felt was the right thing to do, kind of my instincts, if you will. Looking at it more from a long-term perspective than just a quick in and out type of thing. And then I would say going on at the end of my second year, I started to have some bigger successes, then third year more, fourth year more, fifth year more, sixth year, even, you know, I don't remember which year it was. I think it was year 5 for me or year 6. I was able to be the top branch manager in the company in North Dakota, and everybody they send you to this the ceremony in Phoenix, Arizona. It was awesome. Again, I couldn't have done it by myself. There was so much behind the scenes at our corporate office in Minneapolis and Chicago, and so many people to play a part in it. But that's when it all kind of like hit home for me, and I was like, yeah, this is what I did it for. This is what I was grinding, you know, 5, 6, whatever years it took to get to that point. And some people work their whole careers and never get to that point. And so very, very lucky, but they kept saying like, you're from where? You're from where? I was like, yeah, Fargo. They're like, they couldn't like believe that I was from North Dakota and that we were able to accomplish what we were here. So I felt very vindicated in that moment, but yeah, I mean, I guess blocking a lot of that out and hearing a lot of that stuff was hard in the beginning, but now I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm coasting by any stretch, but I feel better in that I know like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm willing to take feedback and learn and grow, because maybe the way I was even doing things 5 years ago, things change, people change, businesses change.
Right.
You have to adapt.
Yep.
So I'm not stubborn to that extent where I think doing the same thing over and over is going to be the best thing anymore, but
that story is the type of stuff that you hear about like on podcasts, in movies, reading books, like people that you don't know.
Yeah.
So getting to hear something like that from someone that I actually know, like in real time, that just blew my mind. A piece of advice I was given a couple of years ago was when I was really starting to understand how important networking was. Mm-hmm. And it was the summertime and lots of people go golfing. And I was told, if you want to further your networking, if you want to get better in business, because you need to golf. You need to learn how to golf and you need to like it. And I never really liked it because for whatever reason, I can't figure out the swing. I don't know why. I'm awkward. We went to Sweet Shots on Monday, and that was probably the first time I even really tried to like hit the ball.
Okay.
But yeah, that's been a goal of mine, is to just learn, because that was the advice I was given. If you want to network, business, professional,
golf,
go be a golfer.
Until that changes, that's the advice I got too. It's like, learn to golf. And I'm not.
You can't just drive around on the golf cart and drink beer.
Well, you can. That's part of it, but you got to swing a club once in a while.
Right.
But I feel like if you're not completely horrible, most people understand, because I'm not the best golfer in the world. I've had my moments where I'm okay, but okay is as good as I get.
Yep.
I don't get much better than that. So, and I've taken lessons I shouldn't say my whole life, but when I was young, so I should be better than I am. But I'm just, I'm not the best golfer, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy getting out, but it's a great way to meet people, to get out of your comfort, or not your comfort zone, but out of your, maybe your work environment, and have a different, like, out of office.
Yeah, the guards are down a little bit.
And it's not even like you're talking business a lot of times. It's like you're just talking life.
Right.
Like how's your, whatever, your kid's in baseball, or like whatever, like how's he doing this year?
But what you said at the beginning of this, the full circle, it's creating those relationships.
Right.
And that's how you're doing that, being genuine.
Right.
Remembering how you make people feel.
Correct.
Right. So on the golf course, you're talking about the kids' piano lessons or something, and 2 months down the road, hey, how's little Charlie doing with his recital?
Exactly.
Actually really good. And then, you spend 5 minutes talking about personal stuff, and then you spend 30 seconds signing that contract.
Well, you talked about a lot of, like, you said that you were texting that person, they become more of a friend, or the conversation became more friendly. But it's like, I think that's just human nature. If you actually care about people and you're actually trying to do the right things, inevitably they're going to become friends.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're talking to them a lot, you're not always talking about work. It just becomes a natural relationship. And I think that's like you get to that point of, you build a trust with you and they trust you, you trust them, because no relationship in personal life or business life is always gonna be perfect.
Right.
You're going to have hardships at some point. It's inevitable. It's just how humans are wired. There's always gonna be things that we disagree on, or like things that come up that we don't, we have challenges we have to overcome. And when you can fall back on those, like you actually have a strong relationship with them, I think those conversations also become a heck of a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
They're not always comfortable regardless, but it's a lot easier when you know them better and you can talk to them as a person, not, as a company or something.
Right.
Like they see you as Allison. I'm not happy, but let's work through this.
Yep.
Not, oh, we're leaving because OK Tire or Penske made this mistake or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
We'll see it. It makes it a lot easier. And that's the fulfilling part, is like those conversations aren't easy, but having the ability to have those conversations and do those things, I think is part of it too. So
Absolutely. The point that I remember that I forgot,
yeah,
we were talking about reflecting on, just taking a couple of seconds to reflect on like the small moments. And I think the point I was going to make was, when you do that, it makes those moments where you're constantly hit with no's, or you have to have those bad conversations, just better.
for sure.
Or maybe you had a day of no's, right, while you're out on the road, and then you end up talking to somebody that and you're just like, God, I'm really thankful that I have you to like vent to, or just as a resource of some sort, and I needed this because my day was really crappy.
There's certain people I know on my phone that I call, and they know who they are, that they're my vent people.
Yeah. They never believe what happened today.
And they're really good listeners, because if you haven't figured out by now, I have a tendency to talk a lot.
That's all right.
But I can get on some tangents, but they're good listeners, and they're very good at reciprocating my emotions, how I feel, and they make me feel validated. All those things, they make you feel like good about talking to them, and they probably don't say a lot of words, but they make me feel good. And that's, you need those people in your life, because we all probably just get bogged down with so much stuff. And when you really think about it, it's like, was it that bad? No, it really isn't.
But I
like
just need to throw my little temper tantrum.
For sure.
Yeah.
You got to get it off your chest.
Yep.
You got to like have somebody to vent about, or somebody to vent to. Yeah. So again, they know who they are, but like I have my select list of people.
I'm glad you say that. And if they listen to this, hopefully they understand the attaboy that they're getting, right? Because we were talking about, you had the top branch manager, and you had said it was a whole team, right? That helped you get with there. Those people that listen to you vent 9 o'clock at night while you're on the road, right? That are listening to you halfway from Bismarck to Fargo, they deserve just as much of the attaboys as the people that helped you at work.
1,000%.
Yep.
1,000%. There's and that's why, like, I really don't mean this to be cliche, because everybody says that, and it kind of loses its luster when everybody says the same thing. But like, it is so true. Like, you can't do it without those people in your corner. If it's internally, externally, family, friends, whatever, like, you just can't do it. Like, it does take. I could be the best salesperson in the world, which I'm not, by the way, but I could be. And if I had nobody to support me or no team behind me to actually fulfill what I'm telling customers we can do for them,
You never would have been in the first place.
Zero chance. That's why I also am extremely grateful and lucky to be in the position I am and to have the people around me that I am. And honestly, again, this isn't trying to be cliche, but the customers I do, because maybe it's because of the relationships I have with a lot of customers and they have with me, which helps a lot. But there's just good people out here that, generally speaking, you can have conversations with. They do the right thing for you. You do the right thing for them. Conversations aren't always easy. They aren't always fun, but I can just relate to people out here better, I think, too, because I'm from the Midwest. So it's, very similar in that standpoint, which I think helps a ton. So again, the combination of all these things, like, I wish there was a secret sauce. You could just, say this phrase and that'll sell you all these deals, or do this one thing and that's going to trip the trigger. It's like, maybe in some instances, but there's a lot to it. But I think as long as you're always trying to do the right thing for your company and for the customer, you're always keeping the North Star, and you're just honest with yourself and with the person across from you. I mean, it's served me very well. I can't say that's the answer to everything, but I think people can understand that and people reciprocate and I guess just relate to that. And they're like, okay, I know he's being honest with me, and I appreciate that. Now, now let's talk about something further. Maybe, maybe it doesn't work out, and let's stay in touch. That is, I guess, kind of what I fall back on.
I was going to ask you, that was going to be one of my questions, if there was ever a time where you thought, I don't know if I can do it. Like, this day really kicked my butt, or this week is getting me, maybe this isn't the right thing. Maybe I got to move home.
Yeah. Probably more, like, it was the worst, I would say, when I wasn't having success between my first and second year, and just the pressure I put on myself, but also just any, company would have pressure, like in sales, there's always pressure.
Yep.
And that's why it's not for everybody. Everybody sees the glamour, but they don't see the behind the scenes.
Yeah. That meeting where they're like, the numbers are not where we need them to be.
And that would be an easier conversation than some I hear, but yeah. Yes. No, I mean, you're right. That I would say between my first and second year, somewhere in that middle ground, I would say was very difficult because I didn't really have any success yet. I really truly believed I was doing the right thing. I just knew it was going to be a matter of time.
Yeah.
And I felt like in some cases I was the only one that believed in myself, but I kept telling even my friends, I was like, I know I'm doing the right things. I know I'm doing these right. It's going to pay off. It's going to. I just kept saying that. I know, like, I really, really believed it, and obviously it worked out that way. And I'm not sure if it's because I was just believing that much, or if it's because it really was the truth. But either way, I mean, maybe I brainwashed myself into that. But I mean, that was a tough time. I mean, when you're kind of out here alone on an island, you don't have a big support system.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a woe is me conversation, but
it's a part of the conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So that people understand, what it
takes.
Like, yeah, you moved somewhere, you didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And,
sacrifice. I mean, again, I'm not the only one that does this, and there's a lot of folks that do it, and I tip my hat to a lot of people, because there's a lot of things that I think about, like, wow, I don't know if I could do it again. Like, I think I probably could, but I just, now that I see what went into it and everything, I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of work, and that's a lot of time, and it's a lot of patience. And I think in today's world especially, and I'm guilty of this as well, like, you want that instant gratification. You want to see it pay off, like, tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
And you just have to know that if you stay patient, you keep doing the right things, it will. But some of these things just are out of your control, and you can't force things to happen, because if you do, it's not going to end up good for you or for the other person.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I would say between that year and just, I think, honestly, blind faith just kind of got me through that, and keeping a good network of people close to me that I could call, or internally that still believed in me, or I could kind of vent frustrations to, and they talk me through things. Because a lot of times you get in your own head and you start to just fixate on the problems, and when you actually talk them out with somebody and they're able to, like, be like, okay, it's not that bad. Here's, maybe try this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's not that bad. And that's, like we talked about, having that support system is key, 100%.
I couldn't. I've got support at home. I've got support here at work, and same thing. If the people that are my people are listening, they know exactly who they are, and they're so important to have. I bet Sam's got them.
I hope everybody's got somebody. If you don't, yikes, that's a tough spot to be. But I feel like you can always make it too. Like, if you don't, you can always, like, you might have to be out of your comfort zone, but you can go make a new friend.
Right.
You can, it's possible to do. It's not always comfortable.
Yeah. And there's really no secret answer to that, because you make friends in just the weirdest connections.
Ways you would think, or I've thought, that I would never meet somebody.
Right.
And it's almost when you make the best friends.
Right.
Is when it's
so
kind of like a
unexpected.
surprise. It's like, I wasn't coming here to make a friend, but, like, that's why I think, like, just going to do, like, something you enjoy doing. So outside of work, I really like to go to the gym, and that's really kind of my main hobby. I don't do it for any other reason. I just enjoy it, and I've made some friends at the different gyms I've been to in Fargo throughout the years, just because you see the same people at the same times
They're
every
all
day.
in their routine.
And it's like, maybe your thing is fishing or golfing or whatever, going to play music or something, like play cards or go for a drink or something, like.
So one of your gym buddies then, what did think of like one of your friends that you met through the gym and think of like which one was maybe the weirdest or most unexpected, and what did that interaction look like? Like you're both just in there doing bicep curls and one of you's like, what's up? And then you start talking.
How it's happened for me is more so like either they're using something that I want or I'm using something they want, or one of us needs a spot.
Okay.
And then it's just kind of like you just go, hey, can you help me with this? Or can I use that when you're done? And then you see him next time. You're like, oh, hey, I'm Matt, by the way. Or like after they get done spotting you, I'm like, hey, I'm Matt. What's your name? And they're like, oh, I'm whatever. And then you see him again. And you just keep coming back, and you just kind of continue the conversation. And like there was a guy, I wouldn't say like, some of these aren't always like super close friends by any means, but a lot of good acquaintances, I would say. And you just like remember things about him. Like I haven't seen a guy for a couple months, and I saw him, I think it was earlier this week at the gym on Tuesday, I believe. And I knew when I last saw him, he was training to run a half marathon.
Okay.
And so I asked him, I hadn't seen him in months, and I was like, did you end up running that half marathon? He's like, yeah, you remember that? And he's like, I was like, how was it? Because he's a bigger, muscular guy, so running half marathon is
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. He's not like a stick, that's probably easier. But he's like, no, him and his girlfriend ran it, and it went really well. I was like, that's probably my limit. But he's like, it went really well, and he was telling me about it, and it was good. But just like, those little things, and it makes you feel a part of the community too. It makes you feel good that you have a support, or like, I wouldn't say necessarily a support network, where you have familiar people where you go and places like that. Like, I'm such a people person, or try to be, that it is hard for me if I don't have people that I know and like I'm familiar with. I don't have to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
But I want to know who you are.
Yeah, just that one like
connection.
I could tell when we went to the golf. So that charity golf event that we had, that was the first time I'd ever been to like on a golf course while people were actually playing golf. Like,
no way.
Golfing is not my thing.
Okay.
That's why that piece of advice was given to me.
Okay.
But I had so much fun that day. All I did was swindle people for money on my birthday. And it was all for charity. It was awesome.
So it was for good reasons.
Yeah, but I could tell like you were comfortable coming to me because you knew me a little bit more than everybody else, and that's all it takes.
Yes.
And I think I probably have talked to you more since then than I ever have before, even though I've known of you for so many years.
We talked a little bit years ago, but it was never,
It was always just, hey, how's it going?
Right.
See you later. See you next time.
But no, I think that's a lot of things too, is you can't force a lot of these things to happen, but they'll happen organically when they should and how they should. And you're totally right. Like I saw you by that, what was it? It wasn't a Hummer or something, but it was a Bronco, right?
Yeah.
It was the Bronco on the hole-in-one hole. And I saw, I'm going to butcher his name, I apologize, Taryn.
You're so close.
Gosh. Taryn.
Yep.
I remember like we've talked on the phone, we've emailed, never met the guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool though. You guys have pictures in your email addresses, so I kind of knew what he looked like.
Yeah.
I was like, are you Taryn by chance? And he's like, yeah. He's like, who are you? I was like, I'm Matt from Penske. He goes, oh. And then like we kind of like, and everyone's like, oh, I've talked to you, not a lot, but I've talked to you a good amount. And like, so I'm not going to say like we hit it off, so to speak, but it was like we both realized we knew each other. We've talked before, and it was kind of like a cool. Yeah, I like that when like you talk to people even like within Penske and like our corporates in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
and sometimes you go there for trainings and certain things, and you talk to a lot of these people back at corporate that for all these different support departments. You talk to them a lot. In some cases, and it's like you never meet these people.
Yep.
Then you go and meet them, like, oh, you're so and so. I've talked to you so many times. I've never met. It's kind of cool.
That's one of the reasons I love the managers meeting that we have every year, because we bring all the managers to Fargo, like at the corporate office, and that's another major takeaway is that you get to meet the people that you talk to all the time. The 100%. People that are like, you didn't get this invoice in. Oh, now I got a face to your name. All right.
Like, oh, I'm Allison. Yeah. What's up? No, I mean, but I think that's a huge part of culture building too.
Yeah.
Within a company is like Penske has a region meeting, I think every 3 years, I believe, 2 or 3 years, where they take, we're split up into 5 different regions, I believe, 4 or 5. I should know that. But basically,
Sam can edit that out.
I was like, we're split into regions, and we come together like once every 2 or 3 years, and you see so many different associates that you interact with, or like salespeople. Maybe you went to training with 5 years ago, and maybe you keep up with them a lot or a little bit. Maybe you don't in some cases, but you just pick up right where you left off, and it's so cool to like. I feel like that helps. Like again, going back to if you ever have you need help from somebody, like there's a, I'm going to make an example up, but there's an OK Tire truck that broke down in Ohio. It's not going to happen because you don't know Ohio, but hypothetically speaking, and you know, you guys are having an issue. It's like, I know a guy in Ohio. Like, again, we have systems in place that you shouldn't need that, but like things always go wrong, or things always can go wrong, excuse me. And to have those people, you can just like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Like to make those connections, I guess, and just have that human element to that is like invaluable. And that's why, like, to the same thing with your managers meeting, like being able to see those people and like interact at least once or however often it gets to happen, to build those connections. It's totally different than on a phone call, than even on a virtual meeting. It's not the same thing. To build those, like that camaraderie is like, I think it's so important.
It's networking. That's the base of networking. Is just it's not this scary professional like handing out business cards and you don't get to be yourself, which I think at one point that's what I thought it was.
Right.
And that's just not what it is at all.
I think it can be if you make it that way. And I think there's some people that you see maybe are a little bit more of that approach.
But that's just their personality.
That's maybe their personality. Maybe they think that's the right thing to do. And maybe it is in some cases. I mean, but I think again, just my personal experience, I've always had the most success just being myself.
Right.
And I think people, you know, you're not going to click with everybody, but people that if you are being yourself, then you click with somebody, it's like, that's a genuine connection. That's a real connection. That feels good. Like, and you just like, that's like awesome. Like, I want to do whatever. I want to talk to this person. I want to like, whatever it happens. It's like, it's
that Step Brothers quote. Like, did we just become best friends?
Yep.
You
want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
What a way. I think we're going to end it right there.
That works.
Otherwise, we'll just keep rambling, I feel like. So
I would.
Sam's like, yeah, let's be done.
Thank God.
Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
This has been awesome.
I appreciate it a lot.
Signing off.
Sweet.